FM 94, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And I'm excited about this one because this is an up-and-coming band. We're talking with Sydney. She's from the band Dolezal. And we've been playing Dolezal on these airwaves for the last couple of weeks. In fact, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago. They were part of our Rock in the Dark new music poll. And their song, Family of Strangers, kicked butt, let's put it that way, and now is in full rotation, so you can hear it every single night here on The Dark. I'm talking with Sydney. Sydney, first of all, how are you doing, and where are you calling from today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a beautiful day here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's finally cooled off.
We just had about 4 to 5 inches of snow last night here, so we're getting the other aspect now of cooling off. We're getting winter finally.
Wow, that's a lot of snow.
Now, I've been to Phoenix once before, and I don't think it really snows too much down in Phoenix, but I know it definitely does snow up in the mountains, especially around Flagstaff and that, correct?
Definitely. The closest it's gotten to snowing here is one time it hailed so much that it left a layer of hail on the ground.
I bet you that was very adventurous. Did they, and I'm assuming Phoenix doesn't have snow plows, so what, do they just wait till everything melted or what?
It melted away pretty fast. It wasn't a very cold day, so once the sun came out, it all melted away. But it was interesting because it was in the middle of the day, and I was at school, and I was in, 7th grade.
Wow. You mentioned school, and this is the cool thing about this band, Dolezal. It's 4 teenage girls, and I just found out today from you that you just turned 16 not too long ago. You had your sweet 16 birthday, and you had it in Las Vegas? How was that?
Yes, indeed. It was fun. I mean, we drove out the day before my birthday, and we got there. We're wandering around for the day, and then we got back to the hotel and waited in line for an hour to get to the buffet that they had. So it was a cool birthday. I just got to pig out.
Very cool. Now, see, I've never been to Vegas, and I'm a little bit older than you, so just a little bit older. But what do you do, I guess, in Vegas when you're 16?
The lobby looking is one of my favorite things to do. I saw some of the most beautiful art in some of these lobbies. It's like you look up to the ceiling or you look in front of you and you see something that's worth millions of dollars and took hours to work on, and you look at it for 5 minutes and then you walk to the next one.
Very cool, very cool. Hey, we want to get to know more about this band, Dolezal. Sydney, how did the band all come about?
All 4 of us went to this place called School of Rock up in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a half an hour away from where I'm at currently. And we all went there to learn music and play in the performance program they have there. It's called School of Rock, and we kind of knew each other, but we weren't really talking as much as we do now, obviously. And Megan, our drummer, she wanted to do the Battle of the Bands at her school, her high school, and decided that us 3 girls were a good pick for her to grab for that.
Very cool, very cool. Now, I have 3 daughters. They're not old enough yet to be teenagers. They're getting very close to that age group. What is it like, I guess, being a teenager rock group? And then you were mentioning you didn't really have a chance and didn't talk much when you were in the School of Rock. How did you guys kind of mesh yourselves together, and do your personalities work out pretty well? Or is there a little bit of friction there because, you're in your teenage years right now?
Yeah, well, your first question was about what was that first question about?
The first question was asking kind of about how you guys got all together and how it all kind of came about, meshing together as teenagers, because, you're younger and sometimes there's always squabbles and all that kind of stuff. How did that all work out, and how's it worked out? It's
an interesting kind of process. We have to come to happy medium grounds every once in a while, but it's usually kind of parents being like, oh, I don't like that, and trying to control us, but it's all in good terms usually. It's interesting because you would think that us being teenage girls, it would be a lot of boy drama and other things about us just not getting along, but it runs pretty smoothly usually.
Very cool. You know, the funny thing is I've done a lot of interviews with rock bands and that, but I've never had a chance to do an interview with a band that is basically a bunch of teenage girls rocking out, which is cool, first of all. Don't get me wrong on that. That's really cool. But when you mention your parents that have to be involved in it, I was like, whoa, wait a minute here. Did they get involved a lot with what goes on with the band?
Yeah, definitely. Especially me being so young, they have to be kind of involved in everything. Like I couldn't even sign the contract on my own. It's they have to be there with us for everything, whether it be just my mom or everyone's moms or everyone's dads. They're really involved. They have to be.
Very cool. You know, and the cool thing is, too, you kind of have a parent in itself, and we're going to bring this in. Megadeth bassist David Ellefson kind of found you guys, I guess, or kind of heard about you a little bit and really took a liking to you. He's kind of like a dad figure, I got to believe, to you guys. Am I correct on that?
Definitely. It's funny because we started kind of talking and he started kind of helping us out a little bit, and we saw him outside of the band a lot more just to kind of work on music. And he just hangs out in like khaki shorts and sandals with us, and then you see him on stage in these $1 million jeans and boots and fancy shirts. He's a really cool guy. He's really a father figure to us. He does a lot for us, a lot more than we could ever ask for.
Well, he has to be a cool guy. He's from Minnesota, right?
Definitely.
Absolutely. I just found this out not too long ago that he was born in Jackson, Minnesota, which is kind of on the Iowa border down in the south of the state of Minnesota here. So that's pretty cool. Has he ever mentioned Minnesota at all?
Yeah, actually, when he was telling me about this interview that I had to do with you guys, he was like, "Yeah, no, I was from Minnesota. I just make sure you mention that," and you brought it up.
Very cool, very cool. We're talking with Sydney from the band Dollskin. She's the lead singer of this female-fronted band. In fact, not only just female-fronted, but all four members are females, and all four members are teenagers. I mentioned kind of about the teenage thing and that, so let's talk about you guys got together at the School of Rock. How did you guys come up with a band named Dollskin? Obviously, you girls, I'm sure, had all sorts of different ideas. Like I said, I live in a house full of women. I know what it's like. So how did you finally come down to a name, Dollskin, and what is the name all about?
Well, okay, so it's kind of a funny story. We were just sitting in a room at the School of Rock practicing for this Battle of the Bands that our drummer got us together for, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, we don't have a name. What are they gonna call us? How are they gonna announce us?" And we're just kind of sitting there. We're like, "Okay, what do we want to go for?" And then one of us, I can't remember who, we just blurred out, "What about we do something that's like cute but scary? Like something that's like, oh hey, that's cute, but why did they put that word at the end of it? Like that's kind of horrifying." So we were thinking about the word doll, thinking about the word like just pretty or something, and we were just like, okay, let's mesh two words together. Doll parts, that's a band. Doll hair, that's weird. And then we found doll skin, and it just kind of happened.
Very cool. Very cool. Wow, that's interesting. And so really there's no meaning behind it whatsoever. It's just trying to create a name.
Yeah, we tried to come up with one, but it was too girly.
Did you? That leads into my next question. Were there some other ones that you vetoed that you can let us know that maybe you would have been this or would have been that?
Usually the names that we kind of came up with that we had to veto were already taken, or were just kind of like, once we suggested them to someone, it was like, why would a band be named like something about cats? Like they just weren't catchy.
Pretty cats. Or something like that.
Something like that. Something that didn't make any sense.
That's cool. That's cool. Hey, how about let's talk about your musical background? Obviously, you're 16 years old, so you really haven't had a lot of, I guess, history of music. But what really drives you to be in the music side of things? Who influenced you on that?
Well, funny story, actually. I used to be the number One Direction fan.
Ah.
They kind of got me into listening to music, and then I found the School of Rock through my cousin. And when I started going there, I got into, kind of the Stones and classic rock, just good rock that I hadn't really been introduced to before. Even if I had been, I didn't like it. But at the School of Rock, I started listening to that kind of stuff, and then it got into more new rock, kind of like Tool and System of a Down and stuff like that. And so that's kind of where my music taste comes from. Yeah.
So are you disappointed that One Direction is breaking up, or are you okay with that?
I saw it coming. I saw it coming from a while away. It's a long time coming.
So can you take anything from that band, obviously being a young band of a bunch of young guys, and put it together with, like your band, a bunch of young girls?
Yeah, something that I can take from that is that, like, you have to know instruments and music and play the music instead of just run around and sing to be successful for a long period of time. Boy bands that all just sing, they don't last very long, as we've found.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. And obviously, you guys are very talented. First of all, to go to School of Rock, I mean, that obviously you have to have some talent to go there. You just not. I couldn't go there. Let's put it that way, because I have no talent that way. They'd be like, "Yeah, we'll take your money, but you're not going to go anywhere." But I guess the question I have for you, with all the instruments that you have to do in that and the arrangements, how did you guys all decide what you were going to do, and how did you become the lead singer?
Well, I went into the School of Rock thinking that I was just going to sing, and that was going to be the end of it. But in the School of Rock, they encourage you to explore. And I decided to take up bass, and I took bass lessons. And then I was like, maybe drums, maybe some guitar, maybe some piano. And Megan, I know she just kind of was drums, and that's about it. She tried vocals and stuff, but she wasn't meant to be a front woman. She wanted to be a drummer. And then Nicole just stuck to bass. She got her bass and she stuck to it.
Very cool.
And then Alex has always been an amazing guitar player. She just was able to really flourish in the School of Rock.
You mentioned front woman, and obviously you're 16 years old, so you're getting to that point, girl, woman, and that. But I want to talk about more of the lead singer being a woman, because it seems like today, and we can go back 30, 40 years, the Pat Benetars, all that kind of stuff, the Runaways, you name it. But, today it seems like in the active rock side of things, it has really taken off. I mean, Amy Lee from Evanescence kind of really brought it back again, and then you've seen the kind of the evolving of all the other artists here in the last 5 years. I guess, what's your take on women being the lead singers of a band?
We need more. We need more.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
It's interesting because, like, a lot of times women are put in front of bands to be the object.
Right.
And just kind of something to look at, which is kind of frustrating, but then again, it's also empowering at a point because it encourages young girls that look up to that girl to pursue music in the same way that they are, which is my goal personally, is to encourage other girls to pursue music or pursue whatever they want to do. Women fronting a band is cool, especially when they, like, you can tell that they actually know what they're doing, like with all the music and stuff, instead of just standing and singing, Right.
Is there anybody that's inspired you, I guess, female-fronted bands at all? I guess I'm asking you the question, who do you like for some female-fronted bands?
I have always been a fan of Paramore.
Yep.
Hayley Williams is a beautiful, wonderful singer. I used to listen to Evanescence all the time. Like, that was my number one jam when I was in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I take a lot of inspiration from now. More recently, I've taken a lot of more inspiration from bands like Bikini Kill, kind of old punk rock, female-fronted bands, or those kind of give a lot of influence to me, yeah.
You mentioned punk rock, and when I hear Family of Strangers, I think punk rock right away. Is that kind of the album? And I haven't heard the whole album. You have a new album out, actually, which came out just before Halloween, called In Your Face. Is that album a lot of punk feel to that, or what does that album feel like?
It's got a couple different vibes to it. Family of Strangers is our most hard-hitting kind of punk rock song. Then we have a ballad, which is the song Blind on the album. It's more kind of rock, not so much punk is in it. Then we have a song called Let's Be Honest, which is a little more pop a little bit, but it's got still some of that punk vibes to it, which is kind of cool. So I guess our overall feel is just punk rock.
Very cool. We're talking with Sydney from the band Dollskin. This is a teenage rock band. 16-year-old lead singer Sydney, we're talking to you right now. When I say that, what does that mean? I guess you have a debut album that came out a month ago, and you were 15 at that time. What does it mean for you to have an album out at that age? Is that crazy? Is it hard to believe?
It's a little hard to believe, honestly. It's like I don't really notice how amazing it is that I already have an album out,
Right.
and I'm 16 now. Until I talk to someone about it, I'm like, yeah, no, my band just released an EP with this record label and David Ellefson and all this fun stuff. And everyone's just like, no way. This is what people do when they're in their 20s.
Right.
And then I kind of sit back and think about it, and I'm like, I am really young for this.
This is something you want to do long term? Is this a long term thing for all four of you?
Definitely. This is it's the reason why I'm doing online school and the reason why I'm going to have to put off college for some years after I finish high school. It's something we all really want to go very far and for a very long time.
You mentioned having to put off college and that. I guess before you got really into this band stuff and that, did you have a different direction you thought you were going to go in your life?
Everyone has their aspirations and different dreams and goals in life, and mine was to be, or more recently, I plan on becoming some sort of forensic analyst for crime investigation and such.
Wow, very cool.
Yes.
Wow, that is very well. I guess you can fall back on that if this doesn't work out for you, huh?
Definitely.
Or this may be a work out for you so well that it'll lead into that down the road, and you can pick that up very easily too.
I plan on doing something with that later on in life.
I want to ask you once again about the School of Rock, a question. I guess I'm not familiar with the one down in Phoenix, but has there been any other artists that have come out of there that have gone national that you know of?
I know, yes. There's a band called Kitten. And
Okay.
It's not all School of Rock kids, but the bassist, I believe, was a girl in School of Rock. They're pretty big. Don't know if you've heard of them, but I know I almost saw them in San Francisco. But they're pretty good too. They're from kind of School of Rock.
Cool. And you mentioned seeing them. How about Dollskin? Do you guys play out in concerts and do things that on a local level or even a national level, or haven't you got into that yet?
So we've been out of the state a couple times. We went down to Mexico last summer.
Wow. Well, okay.
We play over in LA and San Diego and stuff like that kind of often.
Very cool. Very cool. So you have some favorite clubs in that. What kind of vibe do you guys give out when you're on stage? I mean, if somebody came to see a Dollskin performance, what would they expect?
It depends on the venue. If it's more of a bar, then I'm kind of more... I act more mature on stage in terms of, like, what I say.
Okay.
If it's more kids my age, I'm, like, cussing up a storm, kind of being more vulgar.
Go figure, right? You just fit right in then, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, we're talking with Sydney. She's the lead singer of the band Dollskin. We're going to get a little bit more to the band, but I want to talk a little bit more about you, Sydney. And you've kind of answered some of these questions, but here's a question I like to ask a lot of times. If you had to put together a 3-band bill, so Dollskin is playing with a couple other bands, who would be your kind of dream tour to go out on with?
That is a difficult question. I personally, my 3-band bill would be. This is actually a really hard question. Dead Sarah.
Oh yes.
And then for an even larger national act, Paramore.
Okay, I could see the Paramore, but Dead Sarah, yeah, I could definitely see that. We actually spin some of their stuff on here, these airwaves too, so I like their stuff. Very cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. We saw them as a band when they came down to Phoenix.
Wow, very cool. Now, another question I like to ask too is kind of up and coming bands, and obviously you guys are an up and coming band, but is there some other bands out there that maybe I haven't heard of yet that you'd like to give a little pub out there too?
There's 2 bands that come to mind when you mention bands that I know. There's 2 other bands from here, actually.
Okay.
I personally really want to see go far. my cousin's band, Paranova,
Okay.
they just played Knotfest in
Oh, yeah.
California.
Yep.
That's a pretty big deal. And
Yeah.
then some of my close friends in the band called Sink or Swim, they're a fairly new band, but they're amazing.
So Sink or Swim's the other one, huh?
Yep.
Very cool. I'm writing these down because I love to look up new bands. That's what we do here on The Dark. We find new bands, and hopefully maybe one day they become big bands. Like Dalskin. This is a band that obviously is up and coming, and the future's bright for you. Touring-wise, what are you looking at? Are you guys looking to do some more touring here in 2016?
We have a couple things planned. I am not sure if I'm allowed to say exactly what's going on, but March and January are going to be two pretty cool months for us.
Very cool, yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. We'll watch, check you out a little bit more, like on Facebook, and that's one of the questions I want to ask. How do people get to know more information about the band Dalskin?
If they want a quick and easy route, they can go to our website. It's called dalskinband.com. It's got everything on it. Like, you can go to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, even our Tumblr from that. But if you want to go to our Facebook, you have to search just Dalskin Band. Same thing with Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, all that fun stuff.
You know, the funny thing I just was thinking about when I mentioned Facebook, because that shows my age, because I know Facebook really isn't cool for kids your age anymore, like it used to be maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? Am I right on that or what?
Yeah, it used to be a lot bigger of a social media outlet, really, yeah.
But it is now for, like, a lot of the bands that I talk to. These guys are in their 30s and 40s. It's a big deal now, the Facebook thing for them, more so than maybe like Snapchat, Instagram, those things that seem the kids like more, right?
Yeah, Facebook is good for bands.
Yeah.
It's good to get information out about your bands.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, here's one other question I want to ask you. I always ask everybody this question. This is going to be a toughie for you maybe a little bit, but I guess if you had to take a look at your library of music that you guys have sung so far and the songs that you have out there, give me a song, and what artist would you like to cover one of your songs? So any artist out there in the world can cover a Dalskin song. What song and which artist would you like to have that covered?
Ooh, this is interesting. We've been covering Dead Sarah for a while.
Ah.
So if Dead Sarah were to cover one of our songs, that would be awesome. But the song that I would want them to cover, I think if they covered Family of Strangers, I'd be pretty happy with that.
What song have you covered for Dead Sarah?
We've covered a song that we play a lot is their song Weatherman.
Yep, Weatherman.
It's also on our EP.
Okay.
But we've also covered their song Monumental Holiday.
Okay. Well, I figured Weatherman because that's what we play here on The Dark. Do they know about that at all? Have you ever had contact with them about that?
Yeah, actually, when we saw them, when they played down here, we talked to them after the show, and we asked them if they had seen our covers of them. And they said they have, and they said they were awesome, which was a mind-blowing kind of experience that they enjoyed our cover of their song.
I was just going to say that. I mean, obviously, you're up on stage, you're the performer, you got people coming to watch you, and they're just in awe, and you're just taking it in stride because this is what you're doing for a living now, is up there rocking out. But when you get put in the position as the people are watching the bands that you like, I kind of figure you probably had that whoa feeling, kind of surreal feeling, didn't you?
Yeah, it's like everything came full circle. Like, we saw them, we fell in love with their music, so we covered their song, and they saw it.
Well, that's cool.
It was pretty cool.
Well, now what you need to do, Sydney, since you've talked to Dead Sarah before, you need to tell them, hey, I was talking to Jay-Z up in Minnesota on The Dark, and he said about a band I'd like to cover one of our songs. Maybe you can make this happen. Could that work?
Yeah, I mean, we could probably figure out a way to get in contact with them.
Well, let's make that work. I'd love to get a version of that here on our airwaves. That'd be cool. That would be cool. Hey, it's been a lot of fun talking with you. Any chance of you guys maybe making it up to Minnesota next year at all, or is that still maybe a little too far away yet for you guys?
We could probably work it in. We could work it in there somewhere, probably.
I mean, Uncle David can take you on a field trip, right?
Exactly.
Since he's from here, he can tell you all about Minnesota and that. Have you ever been to Minnesota before?
No, I've been up to Iowa, Nebraska, but never over to Minnesota.
You haven't lived. If you've only gone to Iowa, I'm sorry for you. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, a lot of fun talking with you here. And once again, if they want more information about the band Dollskin, they can check out that website again, correct? And how about the new album, too? Let's talk about that. How can they get a hold of the new album?
If you go onto our website, you can find it at our store. You can buy it off of there. You can buy it off iTunes.
Great. Hey, we're going to play your latest song, Family of Strangers. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Thanks for joining me, Sydney.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, that is Sydney. She's the lead singer of the band Dollskin. You want to hear their latest song called Family of Strangers? You're hearing it right now. It's on The Dark. It's on FM 94.